Welcome to Conversations Different, a podcast from the Santa Fe New Mexican featuring the interesting people, places, and issues of northern New Mexico. This is your host, Inez Russell Gomez. Today we are talking about the Institute of American Indian Arts Museum of Contemporary Native Art, located right here in downtown Santa Fe. With us are Museum Director Patsy Phillips and Chief Curator Manuela Well-Off-Mann. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting us.
So let's start off, Patsy, by explaining just what this museum is and why it is so unique, not just in the country, but really in the world.
So the Museum of Contemporary Native Arts, which we also call MOCNA, was established in 1972. But if you go back, the Institute of American Indian Arts was established in 1962. So it's the founding institution for contemporary indigenous arts. And where we set ourselves apart, there are many ways, but one primary way is that we show only contemporary indigenous art. There are other museums that show also contemporary indigenous, but they show historic and traditional. So that's really where everything we do, our programming, our exhibitions, education.
And part of it is to basically let people know that Native people are alive and well and doing things of the moment.
Yeah, that's true, but I like to think we're beyond that.
I never do.
I know. And I came from the National Museum of the American Indian in Washington.
Which is that's an amazing museum.
That was our big thing, is we're still here.
Yes.
And I know that people still say that, but yeah, we're educating people that indigenous peoples are alive and thriving in communities.
Well, and it's not just the fact that we're still here or that Native people are still here. It's that they're doing things that you don't necessarily think of as, so-called native art.
I think that's right.
Yeah. So as a curator, Manuela, that must be part of your job, is to go look and find, what is happening right now, what's bubbling. And for those of the people listening don't understand, the IAIA school was crucial in breaking away somewhat from the traditional past to letting people say what they wanted to say.
Yeah, so I think IAIA was really instrumental in paving the way for the contemporary native art movements. It was this revolutionary approach to really invite young people from throughout the nation to come to IAIA and also to learn from each other. So they were encouraged to get inspired by contemporary art movements in general, but also to look, at their classmates' culture and incorporate all these influences into their own worlds and use different art movements really to make a statement about current issues.
That's right. So it's, it's beyond ledger paintings or Pueblo pottery for what they want to say in maybe different media, that kind of thing.
Yes, definitely. So our exhibitions, they really reflect current movements, current techniques, approaches, and so does our collection.
Okay. Now, obviously there's a museum that you can go look at, but when I was doing some reading, you guys have how many thousands of pieces?
Yeah, we have almost 10,000 pieces of work.
Wow.
And again, that's from 1962 to present day. We're collecting again.
So are those available, like to do research, to go look at, and where would people do that?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. We have a facility at campus. It's the Research Institute, and our collection is housed there. And right now, we have a moratorium on researching our collection because we're getting a new HVAC system.
Okay, and that's to make sure everything stays pristine and well preserved.
That's right. So when that moratorium comes down, then yes, we welcome people to come in and work with our archives as well as the collection.
Yeah. I remember years ago covering my first Indian markets and then doing volunteer work when I was a stay-at-home mom with the Indigenous Language Institute when they were having Native Youth Language Fairs. And that's the first time I'd heard of Lloyd Kivanu and different people talking about how art and culture had kind of transformed, because I guess there was the Indian school way of doing things. Mm-hmm. And what was her name? Dorothy Dunn?
Mm-hmm. The Dorothy Dunn School.
Yes. And then all of a sudden there was no school.
Yeah.
That must have been kind of exciting.
Yeah, that's exciting. You listen to him talk about that, I think. I mean, he's been gone now for a while.
Yeah, this was a long I'm old. Yeah, it's interesting when you think about, just how much things have changed and how, I was talking to somebody, IAIA, did the visual arts, and now there's so much going on with the literary arts as well.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And film.
Yes.
And writing. Just so much is going on, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in the shift really came in the early 60s. I mean, that is why IAI is so important.
And it almost went broke.
Yeah,
there was a couple of, I was trying to remember the congressional appropriation that saved it at the last minute.
That was in the 90s.
Yes, yes. And that's huge because now it's not on the campus of the old College of Santa Fe. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, that's right. It's a beautiful campus.
Yeah, that's exciting. How do you decide what you're going to put in an exhibition?
Yeah, that's a good question. So here at MOGNA, like most museums, we have committees, including an exhibition committee. And we look at incoming proposals. But sometimes, as you mentioned before, I also actively look left and right what's currently going on. And I may invite an artist. It's a mix of different things. And I also keep in mind that we should have a balanced exhibition program, not only group shows or not only painting. So really, giving artists a voice in working in different media. So there should be a balance really between all things.
That makes sense. So you're showing kind of the breadth of the work and the depth as well.
Yes.
Yeah, that's exciting.
And sometimes we hire curators on contract, and they'll curate. So we have a lot of different perspectives. We have traveling shows also. Right now, our current show, Arctic Highways, is a traveling exhibition.
Okay. And what does that tell us about?
It's great. It's about mostly the Sami, but it also includes Alaska and Canada. The Sami are from Norway, Finland, and Sweden. And like a lot of works today, it's about the environment. It's about really, I was surprised to learn that they had boarding schools. I know about boarding schools, but so there's some images of the boarding school. And Manuela can talk more about that.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see that many of the topics we discuss here with our local and regional audiences and artists, indigenous communities, I think all over the world, often face very similar issues, including the residential schools and also living with political borders. So what I learned from the Arctic Highways show was that many of the artists are coming from reindeer herding families. And can you imagine, you're so used for centuries having your reindeer herd, for the summer maybe in Norway, but then for the winter pasture, you migrate to, Finland, Sweden, wherever the animals, want to go. And then suddenly you have a political border. And as you know, we face, our indigenous communities face similar problems here with our U.S.-Mexican border and other borders.
That's right. The Yaqui didn't, they didn't grow up in the United States or Mexico. You have to go across. Yeah, it's funny how many issues are universal.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah. On that note, we'll take a quick break and be back in a moment with Conversations Different.
If you're thinking about a home improvement project, HomeWise can help with an affordable fixed-rate home improvement loan. Investing in your home with energy-efficient upgrades and water-conserving features is always a good idea. You can keep your home comfortable year-round, save money on your utility bills, and reduce your carbon footprint. We can provide the financing you need to go solar, replace your old drafty windows, update your heating cooling system, install a new tankless water heater, repair or replace your roof, and more. Get started on your home improvement project today. Call 505-983-9473 or visit us at homewise.org. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 188231.
We are back with Conversations Different, talking to Patsy Phillips and Manuela Well-Off-Mann about the Museum of Contemporary Native Art. And Manuela, talk about the exhibit that will be opening this March. So Arctic Highways has closed, and now we're kind of taking a big leap into artificial intelligence.
Yeah, that's right. So our next show opens March 21st, and it's a solo exhibition featuring Susan Kite, and the title is Dreaming with AI. So Susan Kite is an Oglala Lakota artist. She's working interdisciplinary, so she is working in Indigenous knowledge. She's using Indigenous knowledge. She's using installation, videos, but also performance art. And she's currently leading in working with artificial intelligence. So those are really fascinating artworks she's presenting. And so what's really unique about her is very early on she recognized that's important that Indigenous, not only artists, but also communities in general, have access to modern technology to really also shape their future, be really active, being really able to shape their own future. And that's what she does. So she wrote her dissertation on artificial intelligence and was focusing on ways how to engage with this new technology in an ethical way. So,
which is something they don't always think about.
That's right. Yeah. So a minute ago, we talked about Greenland and the resources they have, and how excavating the lithium and other minerals really harms the environment and people living close by. So in Susan Kite's culture, Oglala Lakota, like in many other native cultures, there's this belief that non-animate objects also have a spirit, a soul, and we need to be respectful. So her approach is to really be mindful the way she's using technology and creating this awareness that stones, minerals are living beings with a soul.
Yeah, and that's definitely different from the Western world, which is basically those are things to be extracted and make money off of usually. Yeah, yeah. This is going to be an exciting exhibition.
I'm excited because I really don't fully understand AI, and so I plan to learn more about it while she's here. But like Manuela said, she's ethical, and a lot of AI isn't. So I look forward to learning.
Yeah, I don't understand it at all. I just know that I wrote an editorial my friend didn't like, so she asked AI write a response, and she sent me a response, and I was like, this isn't half bad. I may not have a job soon. It was really kind of scary. Yeah.
So with this exhibition, it's a really wonderful opportunity to learn more because Susan Kite is working with an entire research team, and they're developing hands-on stations where the family, everyday person can really learn more and maybe try out things. That's in our Fritz Scholder gallery. So that will be really hands-on and very educational. So that was really important to her. So when I curate a show, I work closely with the artist or with a guest curator and to make sure that the way we install the show is really the way they envision it. And early on, Susan Kite mentioned that she wants to make sure that families, all kinds of visitors will be able to understand this technology and what one can do with it.
That really kind of reminds us that museums are not just a place to go look at stuff. They're a place to kind of change your perception of the world and maybe participate, touch, those kinds of things. So is your museum something where people go and it's kind of a two-way experience?
Yeah, that's right. We really like for people to interact, and we do have an education. It's a small center or little space, but we do, and we'll have a new program with Kite's work. She likes to go by Kite, and so we'll have a little educational program. Plus, she's going to do some programming.
Okay, so you can watch Pasatiempo, everybody who's listening, and look at what's going to be happening and perhaps go participate.
Yeah, that's right.
And when is the museum open?
So it's open Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 10 to 5.
Okay, so Tuesday is the close day.
Tuesdays we're closed, and Sunday it's 11 to 4.
Okay, so for everybody that comes to Santa Fe or even locals that want to come downtown, Monday almost everything else is closed.
I know.
So this is a great
Yeah.
opportunity
Yeah.
to stop by and see something if you're free on a Monday for some reason.
That's why we chose Tuesdays.
Yeah, that's smart. That's smart. Yeah, I always, when I'm out and about, I used to go walk in just to do a run through just because, we're only a few blocks from you guys, and it was always interesting, or go shop for Christmas presents. They have a great, great gift shop.
Yeah, we do.
They do. But something's different on Fridays.
Yeah. So we received a grant from the Art Bridges Foundation, and it's a 3-year grant, and it's called Access for All. So they had funded us before. All their grantees they went to, and they said, we want to fund you to offer free admission. And we can't do every day because the funding's not enough, but we chose Fridays. So we have Fridays free admission. And we've seen a good increase of people visiting the museum.
That's really nice because I know, at least it used to be, is it still true that like Native people who are tribally enrolled, they get in free? Is that?
Veterans get in free, tribally enrolled get in free.
That's right.
Children under 16 get in free. Is that right? 16? Yeah.
I remember that because I'm the only one in my family that has to pay when we go. Because I'm just tribally adjacent, so that doesn't count. But that I always thought that was nice because sometimes, the cost of museums, if you have a big family, is not really inexpensive.
Yeah.
So you have your culture in there and you don't get to go look at it because it's not affordable.
Yeah. So this is a 3-year grant.
Okay.
And we just met recently and said we will do this year Fridays too because it is so successful. We also, it's free, but we've seen an increase in spending in the shop.
Okay, so you don't spend money here, but you're spending it here.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
right.
nice. On that, we'll take a quick break and be back in a moment with more Conversations Different.
This is Patrick Dorsey, publisher of the Santa Fe New Mexican. Looking to reach a wider audience and grow your business? For 175 years, the Santa Fe New Mexican has been the trusted voice of Santa Fe, with unmatched local reach in print and online. In addition to our long-standing, independent, family-owned newspaper, we have a full-fledged marketing team with the expertise to help you succeed in the 21st century. From traditional print to precision-targeted digital advertising, we have the tools to connect you with your ideal customers. Partner with us and see the results for yourself. Advertise with the Santa Fe New Mexican and unlock your business's full potential. Visit us at santafenewmexican.com/advertising or call us at 505-995-3852. Thank you.
We are back with Conversations Different, talking to Patsy Phillips and Manuela Well-Off Man about the Museum of Contemporary Native Art, which is one of the gems in the museum world, not just in Santa Fe, but really everywhere, because it shows art that you don't see other places.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I always like to point out that our work is international. So we work with different Indigenous peoples around the world. And as Manuela said earlier, we have similar issues here as they do. And so it's a way to educate people about Indigenous issues around the world.
Yeah. The first time I ever went to Mokna was a million years ago. Denise Wallace was doing a show with Ed Archie Noisecat, which is so long ago. And then to see, Ed in the movie Sugar Cane and see his son Julian have grown up to do that. It's just like one of those circles of kind of life, because he's from Canada. Mm-hmm. So again, it shows that you guys go across all borders.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. So there was another exhibition that we had talked about on this show before, talking about the stories of people's lives shown through their jewelry or their personal belongings. Is that still there?
Yes, that show will be up at least until fall next year. So it consists of 2 parts. One in our upstairs gallery features works from the permanent collection and was curated by Brian Fleetwood, an IAIA jewelry instructor. And it's a really fascinating show. It really shows how narrative jewelry pieces really are in different aspects. And it's organized sometimes by the kind of jewelry, like bracelets, necklaces, and then also we see works by not only faculty students, but also artists in residence. So both MOCNA, we have a social engagement residency, and on campus, IAIA, they have an artist in residence program, the AIR program. So it's a really wide variety of early pieces from when the collection started, the 60s, to really present day young artists, also again addressing current issues. And then in the hallway, we have a show that's connected to this exhibition. It's called Our Stories. And then our curator of collections, Tatjana Luma-Heftowa-Singer, she invites community members to also lend us their pieces and really share stories. How did they acquire these pieces? What do they mean to them? Sometimes one can see actually interesting connection in between the showcases, so artists trading pieces with each other. It's really fascinating.
That's fun. There's such a connection among the community.
Yes.
That makes it really interesting. I think, jewelry is an adornment, but there's so much more to it when you get the storytelling aspect of it.
I like to point out in that exhibit, too, when IAIA was first founded in 1962, it was a high school. It was a boarding school.
That's right.
So we have the most fabulous jewelry from high school students in the 60s creating this work to current day, as Manuela was saying.
Yeah, one of the things that we try to do in our family is go to the IAIA show at Christmas, and then go to the student and the graduate show that they have during Indian Market, because you never know who you're going to find if you're lucky, and then see what happens to their careers after.
That's really smart.
Yeah. Well, we like art, and it's hard. The ones you like the most at that point you can't afford anymore. But if you're lucky, you get them.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's totally true. Your museum has also received a lot of attention from big foundations and from philanthropists. And what has happened with that, and how has that helped you guys, do your jobs?
Thank you for asking that. So that's been really important. And it started with a Mackenzie Scott. So Mackenzie Scott gave us $3 million. And we set up an endowment with $2 million.
Okay.
So the museum had never had an endowment. So now we have an endowment, and that endowment is currently paying for a staff full time. The other $1 million we're using on our building repairs.
All right, and it's an old post office.
Extensive. It's 1922 building.
Wow.
And then after that, we got the Ford Foundation recognized the museum as one of 20 America's Cultural Treasures. So
that's
these are
quite an
20 BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, people of color, art spaces across the country. And so they...
Can you say that word anymore? BIPOC?
Actually, I don't know. I have seen it, but anyway, that was a real honor, and that came with a big gift. And we were able to hire several staff. It's a 4-year gift. And we were able to hire staff to help us. And then the Mellon Foundation contacted us, and we were able to hire a couple of staff with the money that they gave us. And then the Luce Foundation contacted us, and we're able to do exhibitions. So I do want to point out, our exhibit budget is really small.
I was going to say, no one's giving you money to do, if you don't get state money, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So if we didn't get grants, we couldn't do these really interesting shows. And we also have a lot of publications since Manuela came on board. Exhibit publications primarily, and several of them.
I don't remember what the name of it was, but I just remember a few years ago, and maybe it was longer because time is so weird since those 3 years of the pandemic. But the one where you had the water from the Colorado River, there was an EPA Superfund site.
Oh, yeah. That was probably the exposure show. That was an example of an international collaboration. So I worked with co-curators from Japan, from Greenland, Australia, Canada, and it really addressed the issue of nuclear exposure. And interestingly, we all have very similar histories that, for example, when you look at uranium mining or atomic bomb tests, that usually happens, unfortunately, on tribal lands.
Yes, and because they can't speak up or whatever. Yeah. I just never forgot what that water looked like. And so let's talk about something that stayed with you that you saw at a museum. Yeah.
That's an important exhibition, and we have a catalog that's substantial about that show that you can get on the in the museum.
Okay, that's good to know, because it was really, I mean, there's pollution because of these technologies, but you forget or you don't pay enough attention that where it goes. Yeah.
And that show also traveled.
That's right. I remember that.
And all to non-native venues.
So to tell people what they didn't know, because Native people know this.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we had a family reunion this summer. My mother-in-law wanted to go back to Navajo land. She's from Rehoboth. And we found out that her grandmother's allotment had a uranium mine on it. It was abandoned. And I'm like, is it going to go away? Do we know what happens to it? That was just like, it kind of brings it home when you see you grew up next to a uranium mine. And every tribal people probably has that story. It could be the fallout from pipes or oil spills or all sorts of things.
That's right. Yeah. It's, I read about cases in Canada where entire rivers are polluted, and we had, sometimes it's the most humble artwork that tells the most powerful story. There was this hand-woven small basket. When you look closer, you see abstractions of sturgeon fishes, and then they have slight deformations in gold thread, symbolizing the uranium contamination in the water, and that affects the fish, which is an important food source for local tribes.
We included Greenland. They don't have mining, but they have the threat of it.
Yes.
Right.
Because ice is melting.
Right, that's right. And once that melts, you're going to be able to get at the rare earth minerals and the other resources that are there.
Yeah, and their livelihood is on the sea. I mean, that's how they make their money, fisheries.
I guess it's better to be a really poor group of people with no stuff around you, because then nobody will come and get you. Perhaps.
The irony there is the government put a lot of people in this land, right? Because they didn't think it was good land. That's right. And then now they want it back, or they want to mine.
You're from Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's right.
And you're a member of the Cherokee Nation, and you know what it's like to be put in the middle of nowhere, and then all of a sudden they discover oil. And
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's...
Something's not right about that.
No. In New Mexico, most of the people stayed where they were, after all the adjustments with the Spanish and then the Americans, and we've been kind of lucky that way. Mm-hmm. And there wasn't that much that people wanted,
Yeah.
Unless you're at Taos Pueblo and they wanted your lake, and then you had to fight to get it back and those kinds of things.
But Navajo has uranium
Yes,
mining.
they do.
Yeah.
And they've suffered, and Hopi too. I mean,
that's right. And some of the Pueblos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think here in New Mexico alone, there are over 500 abandoned uranium mines.
Yep.
I mean, you look at the entire Navajo Nation, also in Arizona.
Yes.
They have over 1,000.
Yeah.
So they're abandoned, but they're still seeping.
No, I know. And there's a way to get some sort of recompense to get it cleaned up, but how that all works, I don't know. And of course now we're dealing with oil and Chaco Canyon and sacred spaces, and whether the allottees agree that they shouldn't give up their oil because they need the money, and the government versus some of the people that want it to go away. I mean, it's so complicated.
Don't get us started.
No, But what I like is that when you're dealing with contemporary art, those are probably some of the issues that the artists are dealing with.
Yeah, that's what's so great about all of our shows. It's the artists speaking about the condition of their people frequently. And there are so many issues, so that's why there's so many different forms of art.
Right. And it gets you beyond... there's always this appreciation of traditional arts because they're so beautiful. They were so, you could have a blanket, but it was gorgeous. All the things that you use in your life, but then it takes you to a different place.
That's right. Yeah. Our next show that opens, it's opening on February 7th, is a good example what you just mentioned. It's a solo exhibition featuring Jordan and Craig. So she is Northern Cheyenne, but grew up in California and was one of our IAIA artists in residence. So she fell in love with our area here, has her studio here. And she became best known for her geometric abstractions that actually go back to beadwork designs, weavings, height painting. So you see that and in her painting, but at the same time, you, of course, realize she's a very contemporary artist. So she transforms these traditional, beautiful designs that all have a meaning into very abstract, hard-edge, contemporary geometric abstractions.
Oh, that sounds exciting. Yeah, that's the beauty of art, is it's always changing and it's always different.
That's right.
Yeah. On that note, this has been another Conversations Different. We'll be back next week. Thank you for listening to Conversations Different, hosted by me, Inez Russell Gomez, editorial page editor for the Santa Fe New Mexican. Our weekly episodes would not be possible without your support. We hope you enjoy them and keep listening. New episodes drop every Tuesday. Consider signing up for our newsletter so you never miss an episode, and while you're at it, consider subscribing to the Santa Fe New Mexican. Our podcast is available by visiting our website, santafenewmexican.com/podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Conversations Different with Inez Russell Gomez is produced by Matt Dalside and Ernesto Cisneros, published by the Santa Fe New Mexican, a local and independent newspaper owned by Robin Martin.